is characterized by the three fundamental factors. One is the mechanization, that means doing what we are already doing but through the more efficiently. Second factor is innovation, experimenting with the new capabilities, that is introduction of new services and improvement of existing services through the use of ICT. And transformation, that means fundamentally you are altering the nature of library operation and services through capabilities extended by ICT. So the moment I told you that your library materials can be linked dynamically with different open data sets, so that is a fundamental transformation from your static library system to a dynamic library system. So as a whole, or in summary, you can see that library automation helps us in mechanization, innovation and transformation, and these three factors are required to keep pace with the ongoing changes in the socio-technical arena. Your users are changing, the environment is changing because of the different kind of technologies. Your requirement as a library staff is also changing. So the entire library trinity, the document, the user and the staff, their need, nature and features are changing. So thereby a library need to go for automation first to take advantages of different digital technologies. So in short, a library automation system helps in mechanization of library operation. It supports innovation in library operation and to generate different kind of user-centric services. And finally, it promotes transformation in organization of information resources and dissemination of services. So, if we go for the summary of different reasons why you need library automation in your library, so one particular factor is that library automation is considered as an especially critical area from which future benefits will emerge. What does it mean? It means that if a library is not automated, it cannot take advantages contributed by ICT such as digitization, web-enabled library system, use of linked open data, remote management of library, interactive user services and different such other advantages provided by the digital technologies. A library automation is basically helping to increase operational efficiencies through different kind of sophisticated mechanism. Automation of housekeeping operation relieves professional staff from the routine clerical jobs and thus make them available for end user services. That means you can make more productive use of your library staff. Betterment of library services in terms of speed, quality and efficiencies. Your users are basically, you can serve your user far more better than you are serving in a traditional setup. Automation may create interactive, collaborative and participative platform owing to the advent of different Web 2.0 technologies, and this interaction, collaboration and participation will help to generate different kind of user-centric library services. Another important advantage of library automation is that a library automation system actually helping us to get rid of two fundamental barriers of information access, that is time and space. As web-enabled library system actually allows access at any time, from anywhere and by anyone. So your library server is actually, you are keeping it open for 24/7 mode. That means any user from anywhere at any point of time can search your library catalog if it is available in the web, and thereby two fundamental barrier to information access, that is time and space, is basically users are getting rid of. So you can say an automated library system, if it is available in the web, are free from the two fundamental barriers, time and space. Automated library system with the capability to generate extensive report and statistics extends supports as decision-making tool for library managers and policymakers. So another advantage of automated library system is that It can give you a lot of statistics and report on the basis of which library authority can take different kind of critical decisions. Next one is that an automated library system is able to contribute to resource sharing networks, and on the other hand may take the benefits of resources and services of different library networks. That means if your library is automated, you can directly link with the different kind of OCLC services, Inflict services, Delnet services, so that, and you at the same time you can donate your library data to this network. So it's a two-way communication the moment you enter into library automation. Now question comes, we are now convinced that library automation is the need of the time. Library of any type of size should go for library automation. But the very question comes is that what are the prerequisites at the software level, at the system level, at the infrastructural level, at the staff level, financial requirement. So all kind of prerequisites we need to know first. First of all, you need to know that library automation is a very challenging task. We need to know what are the requirements, what are the strength and weakness of the library to be automated, how to prepare the proposals and budget, how to select hardware and software, who requires to be trained, how to plan implementation of software, how to handle retro conversion. Here you need to know what is retro conversion. Retro conversion is nothing but transferring old bibliographic resources into machine readable forms in the software system. Say for example, you starting your library automation right from today. So the book you procured up to yesterday are basically considered as the old stock. So that required to be first transformed into machine readable format by following different kind of bibliographic data format like Mark 21 bibliographic format. So this process is called retro conversion. You need to have a different kind of system level requirements. The system level requirements include hardware, network and storage. These components builds the necessary infrastructure for implementation of integrated library system. The infrastructural requirement for library automation may vary from simple, that means very inexpensive system, to very complex, that means expensive system, depending on factors like different functional requirement, software architecture, support for global domain specific standard, interoperability standards and different other requirements. The infrastructural requirements is very high for an automated library system that aims to serve user through web API. That means if you want to go right from the beginning for the web architecture and your target is to provide users with a web API, you need to have a server, you need to have IP address, you need to have domain name system for your library site. If you want to support distributed cataloging, that means you want to sort bibliographic data as Z39.50 server to others, you need to have a different Z39.50 server, the cost will be very high. If you want to take the advantages of cloud computing, then your consideration will be different. Say for example, in case of cloud computing, you do not have to maintain a particular web server and different other kind of networking infrastructure in your library locally. You need to borrow or you need to subscribe the cloud space. There you can install your library automation software, and from your local end you can operate that particular web entity. So generally hardware level requirements include server, you need to have a centralized mainframe or mini computer architecture, and different client pieces, those are low-end computers for data entry, end user searching, circulation, etc. Now you already know that at the system level we need to have different kind of hardware equipments, different kind of network support system, external IP address if we want to go for the web access. But what are the need at the software level? In fact, the whole prerequisite can be divided into two groups. One is the system level requirement, what we already have discussed, and the next one is the software level requirements. Now, as I told you, most of the libraries are basically starting their automation or adapted library automation system which is integrated in nature. These are basically called integrated library system or ILS. This integrated library system includes different functional modules for different subsystems of a library on the basis of a common dataset with different tables for different modules in relational architecture. Now, at the software level, you need to list a set of requirements to indicate what we basically require to establish an integrated library system. First requirement is that your ILS or library automation system must be fully integrated using a single common database for all operation and a common operator interface across all modules. So this is the first requirement when you are selecting a particular library automation software. Second requirement is that the LMS or ILS should have capability of supporting multiple branches or independent libraries with one central computer configuration sharing a common database. What does it mean? That means suppose a library system which have more than 5 or 6 branch libraries. So they are not going to procure 6 copies of library automation software for 6 different libraries. So what they will do, they will install the library management software at the server level at the central library. They will create different kind of independent branch library management system inside that particular system so that each of the branch library can have their own circulation rule, own item type and different kind of other library specific features. And they will all actually go for different library automation, different library activities through this central server. So this is the need of the time, independent branch management. The LMS must allow unlimited number of records, users and organization specific parameters like circulation rules, file calculation rules, holding parameters and different other factors. At the technical level, your ILS must be compliant with different standards. So first one is the Z39.50 standard developed by ANSI NISO. It's basically meant for distributed cataloging or change or transferring bibliographic data in real time. At the format level, your library automation software must support Mach 21 Unicode. Unicode means you need to handle different kind of multilingual resources. So nowadays, a particular library automation software is Unicode compliant. It means that it can handle all index scripts. And Mach 21 is becoming a global de facto standard at the bibliographic format level. But please remember, Mach 21 is a family of 5 standards. So your library automation should support Mach 21 bibliographic format, Mach 21 authority format, Mach 21 holding format, classification format and community information format. Apart from this particular format support, your library should support Z39.71, another standard developed by ANSI NISO as a holding statements, EDIFACT standard to support online procurement of library materials, IEEE 802.2 standards to support your different kind of LAN architecture and Ethernet capabilities. It should support different kind of web protocol like HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol, TCP/IP, Telnet, FTP and SMTP. Most of the modern library automation software, as I told you, are based on the web-centric architecture and supports a range of multi-user. That means at any given point of time, more than 1,000 people can access your library server. So this particular quality is called number of concurrent user support. So that is also an important criteria. Unicode is an important criteria. You need to also check that whether your software is RFID compatible or not, because RFID is coming as a very important inventory management system with the facility of self-issue and return. And at the same time, RFID can help you to go for library stock taking in a very short period of time. So this is also important criteria that your library automation software must be RFID compatible, and for that it requires to be compatible with the NC protocol, NISO Circulation Interchange Protocol, recently developed by NISO. And then you need to take into consideration whether the vendors, even in case of a commercial library automation software, or developing group in case of open source library automation software, whether the requisite training should available or not. That means the group responsible either for development of the software or for marketing of the software should also provide training to the enabled library staff to become familiar with different functions and operations. Now, another important thing is that the software, that is the ILS or your library automation software, must provide security to prevent accidental or unauthorized modification of records through the establishment of access privileges unique to each user on the system and restriction on specific functions to specific user. This is very important thing. That is basically called the privilege control. That means if you are the librarian of the library, you don't want to share the super user password with every library staff. That means you need to go for the privilege control. You need to give one person the login and password to do only cataloging operation. One person the required login and password to do or perform only circulation operation. So this kind of granular permission setting is called privilege control, and your library automation software should support it. You already know the prerequisite at the system level what we need to do, and at the software level what we need to check. Now, what are the steps after the selection of the software? What are the steps you need to follow in your library automation system? So now we are actually coming to the steps. Library automation, as you know, is a very complex process and should be planned judiciously. The complete process of library automation may be divided into different steps. The step 1 is the software selection. Step 2 is hardware selection. So first you select your software on the basis of the criteria we already framed. Then each software required a different set of hardware. So depending on the selected software requirement, you need to select your hardware. Then after acquiring or selecting hardware, you need to go for the site preparation. After site preparation, you need to start general training of your library staff with that particular software. You need to check the software whether any customization is required or not. If it is required, the next step is the customization or making the library software specific to your library. Then you need to define procedures for bibliographic data entry, administrative data entry, and financial data entry. And finally, you can go for commissioning. That means you can start your library automation services. So these are the few steps, border steps you need to follow when you are basically going for library automation. Now, what are the special features you need to remember? Those are basically the generic steps each and every library need to follow. Now, apart from those steps, you need to check the local variations, limitations of the existing system, that means existing manual system, nature and objectives of your library, total number of collection and nature of the collection, per year acquisition and procedures followed for acquisition, per year subscription to serials and number of serials you are subscribing, how many users you are serving at any given point of time. So all these factors you need to consider before going for library automation or before commissioning your library automation system.